That way we're solving the problem in public
Mm-hmm.
and everybody benefits. And hopefully at some point you will actually use this and it will make your life simpler.
You've been up since 5:30, right?
Yeah,
You can
that's
try.
been putting me behind the wheel. Yes, I've been up since 5:30. That's smart. That's very smart. Okay, so welcome to your sales automation database.
Mm-hmm.
The sales database at the moment is made up of 2 tables. Now, if you've ever used Excel or Google Sheets or any table like spreadsheet, this is going to look very familiar to you, but it's a little bit more powerful. So the first table we have is made up of people, and then the second is made up of invoices. So let's go through the people first. Okay. So one of the things about Airtable is because it's like a database, you need to understand how databases work a little bit. And the only thing basically you need to know is that every record has a unique column. That this is like the first column. I like to have this column calculated, unless I'm like giving a number automatically, like in the invoices, which we'll talk about later. So this field is automatically made up of your first name and your last name. Okay, so if I put in a new record, I can't put anything here because this is calculated. So do you have an H in your name? Or like that? Am I spelling that right?
It's perfect.
And that, or I feel like there's a Y somewhere or an E. How do you spell your last name?
Layachi.
See, I was totally off. Lachy.
I.
Okay, see, I was totally off. I was not even close. You have 3 companies, which is actually a problem. 4? How many are we up to now? I'm just gonna.
No, but invoicing is for Pitch Slap. It's done through the Calendly link, so that goes. Yeah, that's separate.
Yes. So we'll talk about that in a minute. So let's just erase the runway. Erase the runway. That should be a capital R. I have a feeling. Okay, and then we would put your email, and we're just going to do z@test.com because I don't feel like going searching for your email. Whatever your phone number is, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1 2 3.
Call me.
And then call her at this number. 1 2. You know what? Pitch slap her at this number. Okay, and then we have different stages for every potential client. So initial outreach, discovery call, send proposal, follow up, won, and of course lost. Okay. And notes, which don't necessarily have to use their other options, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So this is really uncomfortable to look at because if I look at this, I don't know what's going on here. So I created an easier view for you. And this view is a column view. And basically you see anyone who is in any column, what stage they are in the pipeline. So if we look at your card, we're going to put you into initial outreach. Let's say you're a client, right? So, hey, I reached out to Zineb today. Oh, how wonderful. Or she reached out to me or whatever it was, right? So, okay, wonderful. And then, oh, wait, she scheduled a call through Calendly that I don't like, but we're not going to talk about right now. She scheduled a call through Calendly. And you know what? It automatically, this is not done manually. The minute she scheduled a call, it found her record and it moved her to discovery call. And it actually also added a date. Do you know how phenomenal that is? Because did I not put a due date here in? Oh, we can add that. Let's add a field. Add a field to this table. Let's add a field and call it next action. And then we're gonna do date. And when you schedule, you're in Europe, right? So you like you know how to write a date properly. And you can actually have the time as well.
Hilarious.
I'm sorry to all the American watchers and fans and anybody that follows in America hours, but May 27, 22. Forget it. Never mind. I'm not going there. So this is the date and this is our next follow-up date. So it doesn't appear through here, but it does appear here. So, maybe because I didn't set anything. So let's say our next date is on the 30th. I've set a call with you for the 30th of June. Hey, what do you know? Next action now appears 30th of June. Okay. I'm on the call with you. While I'm on the call with you, there are 2 places that I can take notes. So the first is here in the bottom comment section. These are my notes. The downside to taking notes here, there are a few downsides, but the first downside is on the free account in Airtable, you're only going to have these notes for 2 weeks. You're going to get lost. They're going to get lost. On a paid account, depending on what stage you have, at first it's only going to be like for a year, which for some businesses might be enough, but for others is not enough. That's where the notes section comes in. So these are my notes from the initial meeting. Now, this is actually set that you can, use bullets, numbers, checklists, different headings, you can bold, italicize, strike through, etc. If you're using this format and not writing it in the comments, which again, it really depends on your own workflow and where, if you don't need these notes for beyond 2 weeks, that's fine. I would highly recommend starting by putting in like a date. So, it's now 28/6/22, right? And then the next time you write a note, start it, on the 30th of 6/22, more notes, right? So even in your notes section, you're sort of keeping track of the dates that you're writing the notes. This isn't ideal, but this is like a workaround if you don't want to pay an upgrade to have your history for however long you need it. So this I would do while I'm in the meeting. Now, the reason I actually don't do this bit in Airtable, I do this bit for myself in a different tool, but for many, this is enough. If you want to automate sending out a proposal, there's a lot more that we can do here. We can create custom fields that are based on what the different variables in your proposal is. So we can have a list of services. It's a drop down. They choose option 1, 2, or 3, what the description of every service is, what the cost is. So this can all be semi-automated, that you're filling this in while you're on the call with someone, and then you hit a button at the end and it sends them a proposal via email. That's ideal. I've set this up for clients, and that's something that if you want, we can set you up with this very, very easily. Again, it really depends on what your workflow is. We sort of jumped in here without me actually doing research on what your proposal process is. So shh, don't tell.
Well, we kind of did a couple of weeks back. So
right, we did, but it wasn't like, well, first of all, it's been 2 weeks, and second of all, I've been up since 5:30 a.m. and I haven't had coffee, so I don't really remember anything. So, and I'm not checking my notes right now. I don't even know where I put them. No, that's a lie. But moving right along, I had a high school teacher in Canada in grade 9, I think, and he was meanwhile back at the ranch. So
I love that.
Yeah, I know. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, we're continuing. So we're going to send proposal. Now, again, if you want, we can automate it that when someone is at the stage of send proposal and certain fields are filled, it will automatically create a document, send a proposal, send a webhook, whatever it is you want it to do. Okay. You sent the proposal. Don't forget, once you send the proposal, to change the next action date. Again, if you're doing this manually, you have to do it manually. If you're doing it automatic, it can be automated, but to change the next due date. So I've given them 2 weeks to review. Like our meeting was on the Thursday. I've sent the proposal out the same day. I've given them 2 weeks to review and get back to me. So I call this section follow-up, but to be honest, I never follow up. I don't do follow-up simply because I, number one, don't have the time. Number two, my bandwidth is, thank God, full. And number three, I think there's something to be said for someone who doesn't send you an email within an allocated time that you've given them. If you ask for, a response to a proposal within 2 weeks, the minimum someone should do is be able to write you an email saying, thanks for going somewhere with someone else this time. And I've been ghosted too many times. And I call it ghosted because I took the time to meet with you. I got on a call with you for 30 minutes. We had a really great chat. You said you were interested. Otherwise, I wouldn't have sent the proposal. And I told you my prices up front. I spent 1 to 5 minutes up to 6 hours, some people, writing up a proposal. And I'm not just talking about me, right? I've spent X amount of time writing up a proposal. I sent it to you. I took the time to send you the proposal. The least you could do is write back to me and say, thanks for going with someone else. Or we're not moving forward with this. It literally takes a few minutes. Why do people just not do that?
It depends on the reasons for jumping on the call in the first place. Is it a burning need? First of all, I've seen, so apart from just people not having the decency to do that, is it a burning need? What, is it something that they're actually gonna implement or fix today? Or are they just shopping around and they probably didn't take the time to review the proposal because it's not really a priority? And I find those that are looking to fix it now, they look at the proposal quickly, like the same
Right.
day, right?
Right.
In your case, they already knew the prices up front, but still they just skim through it to see, to get those basic points that just jump at them that say yes, no, right? Yes, keep reading, or no way. Or I would like to ask follow-up questions. And there are others that, this is a small part. There are others that are just shopping around. Maybe they're doing competitor research, or I don't know.
So this is interesting because, well, number one, my proposals are one pagers. So there's not much to read. Here's a summary of what you want. Here's the pricing and what the different packages are. I lost you.
I'm back.
Oh,
Yeah.
hi.
I wanted to unmute and I yeah. Anyway, sorry.
I wanted to unmute and I just disconnected everything.
Shut down. Goodbye.
Shut down now. So number one, the proposals are really, really short and it's very easy to see. Number two, I ask at the end of a meeting, would you like me to send you a proposal?
Mm-hmm.
Now I've been hired by people without sending a proposal. Basically, I've had people get on a call with me and say, okay, I'm hiring you. Now, what do we need to do? So, it really, I don't mind. I don't get shopping around. There's a halachic issue, like the Jewish halacha, the Jewish law. I can't come to you and ask you questions if I'm not really prepared to buy from you, if I'm not really in the market, unless I tell you up front and ask you if it's okay if I ask you a few questions. Like that's and a lot of my clients are from, I mean, not all of them are Jewish, but a lot of my clients are. So it makes no sense to me. Like, it's interesting. I don't know how to translate this to English, so I'm not even going to say what it's called in English, but it's like one of the 10 commandments where you're not allowed to, like, it comes from, it's a derivative of lying, but you're not allowed to sort of pretend that you're something that you're not. So I can't walk into a car dealership and pretend I'm going to buy a car when all I really want to know is, what does this car look like on the inside? Because I'm actually going to be leasing it. And they told me to come down to the dealership and look what it looks like. This is a true story. This is a true story.
That's a great example.
Yeah, because we were going to lease the car and they said, I'll just go down to the dealership and see what it looks like. I said, I can't, because I can't go in there and lie. I can't say, I'm looking to buy a car. Can you show me something? And then, okay, thanks. Bye.
That's actually a great story.
Yeah. You're someone else's time. And I try and treat people the way I want to be treated. So I don't want anybody to waste my time. And so I try not to waste anybody else's time. And if we're on a meeting for 30 minutes, and at the end of it, you tell me that you're interested in my services, and I take the time and I send you a proposal, and I say me, but this is true about anyone, the least you can do is say, thank you, no, thank you. And I have to give a shout out. I'm not going to mention her by name, but I think I've talked about my first sales call in the past, how horrific it was. I mean, it was like the worst, but the person on the other end was pretty big in her field. And I'm surprised she didn't throw me out the window the minute we started. But after a couple of days, she was like, thank you, but we're going to go a different direction. And I really appreciated that. And that was a great lesson for me. She said no graciously. I have no hard feelings. I would not have taken my services at the time. And I really appreciated the whole experience. There was so much to learn from it, from all of the right things she did and, how to treat others. So I followed up with you and you said, you're not interested. I'm going to move you over to Lost. Now, if we go here to clients, I'm only going to see those that are won. You don't appear here. If I had won you, right? If, let's say, I change you to 1, now all of a sudden, oh, there you are. Hi. This one step further. We could take this one step further and add a field. And we're going to call this client status. And we're going to have active and inactive. There we go. So let's say this one is an active client, but this one is an inactive client. So now what I'm going to do.
Are you calling me inactive? How dare you?
You know what? You're right. I'm so sorry. I'm the one that's been up since 5:30 and I totally don't know what's going on. I'm just going to turn myself off.
How dare you?
I know, seriously. So now what I'm going to do is I'm not going to just filter this by stage where stage is 1. I'm also going to do this where client status is active. And now I'm going to call this active clients. And then I'm going to duplicate this. Inactive clients. Change that to inactive. So this is an inactive client. This is an active client.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, when I'm on a call with someone or someone has initial outreach from LinkedIn or whatever, and I'm not talking about automation tools and API tools that can integrate with this and possibly automate it, because I'm very careful with LinkedIn automation tools. Just this morning, I heard someone say that there are automation tools that are allowed. I don't know what they are. Don't want to touch them right now until I know for sure. So what I did is I created a form. And we're going to open this form. And at some point, it's going to load.
Drum roll.
You need a time lapse for how long this cut. Doesn't cut. Okay, back. And we're back. Hi. So we have a form for inserting a new contact. So, if we put first name, John, last name, Smith, company is Acme, and then email is test@test.com. Well, I know, again, I have everything here. So phone number, well, I'm not going to give them your phone number, but let's just do 414
Yeah, please don't give them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Well,
yeah.
I did, but it's like for you, it was an area code was 1, 2, 3. Call this number now that you see on the screen. That's how you can reach John Smith from Acme. And then you can use this to put whatever stage they're on. So you can use this form for initial outreach. You can use it for any stage. You're just talking to someone and you've already had a call and you have to send a proposal. So you put it there. Mess. I'm tired. Met with John, spoke about X services, right? And like I said, I would actually add a date. So this is 28.
And you would only need to do this manually. I mean, chances of you having to do this manually is
so it depends where you're getting
they're slim.
Right. So it depends where you're getting your content from,
Mhm.
where you're getting your information from, because so John Smith is there, and in your sales pipeline, it's there. Because if somebody is coming in, like for me, I don't track initial outreach, which I may should do, but I don't, because I'm not using a proper CRM. And I don't need to at this point, just because of the size of my business and the nature of how I work. But the way that I work is when somebody initially reaches out to me, I'll basically send them a link to my schedule once, booking page saying, here, book a call with me. And then when they book a call through schedule once, it automatically pushes it into Airtable and to my other tool and whatever. So I have, it's always there. So I don't actually do manual data input at all. The only thing that I would input is while I'm on the call with you, I would take a summary. Now, like I said before, we could have, like for you, I would add a few things. I would add and search the rate. So not services, let's just call it entity, just for the sake of discussion. And this would be a single select field. And this is going to be pitch slap or raise the runway or I forgot the name, seal, right?
Yeah, but it's not like it's my business, right?
Right. So let's do, is there anything else that is yours directly?
No, these two.
These two. Okay, great. So when you're entering someone, you can actually know what they're calling you about. Are they calling you about this? Or are they calling you about this? Right. You don't have to have this. This is just something that you can have. It'll make it easier for you to sort of keep track. And then when you have active clients, we can actually group them. If I move my image here, there we go. So we'll group them by entity. And so, well, this is active client. So let's just make someone else active so that we can see. Oops. Oh, it's hidden. No, it's not hidden. Where's the field? Oh, there it is. Just make myself active. So now you'll see I'm like, it's grouped by the entity. So I know who my active clients are for pitch slap and who my active clients are for raise the runway.
Okay.
So this gives you a lot of flexibility in how you show your data. And there's more. I mean, I'm covering very little of this, but other things that we could do, and this is something that I like doing for proposals, to automate proposals, is, well, first of all, my OCD is not letting me that this is here. Sorry, this needs to be moved there. Sorry. No, I do have it. So let's say we want to know what services. Let's say you have different kinds of services. So there's something really great that we can set up. So let's say services, and this is going to be a single select field. We could do this multi-select, but let's just do it single select for now. So this is going to be coaching. This is going to be golden snippets, just do general marketing. Okay. Just let's say these are the three options. this is where the fun begins. So first of all, again, the company, these could be tied together. It's a bit more complex to do, but in theory, we could tie them together so that when you choose Pitch Slap, only the options and services for Pitch Slap appear here. And when you do this, you don't have to. Just you should know that it's doable. And then the next thing I would do is, let's say, just say cost, right? And this is going to be a
cost as in cost of doing business, like my cost,
like
or
their proposal
price?
cost, the cost that they need to pay you. So let's just do investment.
Or the
Call it
price,
whatever.
or, yeah.
I don't
Okay.
know, whatever. Price. Oh, that's the word I was looking for. Thank you. I knew there was a word I was missing. So I'm going to use a formula called switch. Now, this is phenomenal. What this lets me do, the first thing I need to do is I need to say, okay, what am I looking, what field am I looking in? So I'm going to be looking at the services. And then I want it to know that if it says, what was the first one we did? Coaching. And this is case sensitive. If it says coaching, then let's say your coaching cost is
500.
500 for 1 hour or for a month. I want a monthly cost. Like, this is what it's going to cost the monthly.
Oh, because so you also have to have like a standard. You can have like different types of coaching. You can have like the one off, or you can have the one a week. Okay,
exactly.
Which is what you were trying to get me to sort of standardize in that sense.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
When you standardize your pricing into package, we can do a manual override, by the way. We could have an other option and then it chooses it from somewhere else or whatever. Like it is possible to have a manual override, but let's say this costs $1,500 or $2,000 a month.
2,000,
right?
yeah.
Right, because it's 500 for one and you have 4 a month. And then the second one we had was, what was the second one? Golden snippet. And let's say that actually costs $4,000.
Yeah, it depends. Yeah, it depends.
I know.
Okay.
I'm not really doing this 100%
Yeah.
for you, and I'm happy to do that off camera so that it suits you exactly. But I want you to know what the capabilities are and why it's so important to sort of understand the standardization process. And then the last one we had was marketing, and this one is actually 10K. Don't say anything, that's the price. Okay, so now if this worked, if I built it correctly, if I choose this.
Look at that.
And then if I choose, this isn't going to work because it's not, I just noticed that it's case sensitive. And this is that. And I also forgot an S here. So there we go. Now it'll work. Golden snippets. And he's actually interested in marketing.
Okay.
So again, once you standardize your process, and you can have multiple services, you can have one-on-one coaching, you can have discounted rate, it's just a matter of building it into here. And look how easy this is. So
I think this, yeah. No, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Ask what you wanted to ask.
No, I'm just saying, it's for someone who doesn't have a CRM, this is a great way to start and to start making sense of all this. Do your clients, the ones that you do this for, not because you do other things, but the ones that you do this exact thing for, do they come from having a CRM on Excel, or do they come from nothing?
Both.
Okay.
Both. So if you have a quote unquote CRM on Excel, it's not really a CRM, right? But if you have something on Excel, it's so much better than having nothing. Right. So having this on Excel, because this is very easily imported, by the way. If I click here and then import from CSV, from Excel, from a Google Sheet, right? And you can also import from all of these. So, I wouldn't, yeah. And I've played with a lot of these. It actually works. So the beauty of this is that it's easy to use. It's not Salesforce. It's not HubSpot. It's not a proper CRM in any way, shape, or form. It's not pulling in your interactions from email. It's not, some CRMs can pull your interactions from phone calls or from, like when the phone call was, just record them, record the date. Some CRMs will pull in your text messages. Like a great CRM is Cloze, CLOZE, and it actually integrates with everything and it pulls everything in. But you live in the CRM. You're basically your inbox, your life. Like in the morning when you come in, you don't check your inbox. You go to Cloze, you go there, and that's where you live. And if you have that level of commitment like salespeople do, that's great. I don't want to live in Airtable all day. I mean, I do a lot for other reasons, but I live where my CRM is, in the sense that this is where the work happens. And at any given moment, I can actually look and say, hey, this is a list of my active clients. And, there's so much more information that we can pull in here. So for example, moving on to invoices, and I didn't show you how to automate the whole process of creating a proposal but it really depends on what other tools you're using. I integrated Airtable with an app called Document, and it's not cheap. It's like $30 a month, but it gives you the option. It's right because it's easy to use with variables and basically, hi, first name. No, this is the proposal, service name, the cost of, price. I'm oversimplifying it. You can actually also do this to a Google Doc. And yesterday I had a huge moment of success with a client. This is good. This is such a fun story. So my phone is making a noise. I have to just shut it down. Just turn it silent. Okay, sorry. So moving right along. Meanwhile, back at the ranch. So yesterday I had this great success with a client. It was phenomenal. We had been working for months setting up a process for a project. And we looked at multiple tools and we went back and forth with tools because every time we saw this, we needed that. We ended up using Airtable for importing the data because we wanted the automations, and that worked really, really well for the price of zero. So it was totally worth it. But the projects were not being managed on Airtable because they were very complex with sub tasks, and we needed like much more complex stuff. So we moved that to Asana. And then at some stage in the process, they have this huge onboarding form. I mean, huge, very complex, multiple conditions in the form. And I created the form for them. And then I created an automation that when they're ready, when they filled out the form and they're happy with, even if they later update the fields and whatever, they click a button. It sends a webhook through Zapier, creates a document in Google Docs, and then it pushes the document into the project in Asana in a specific task. And it puts a PDF copy of the document in their, Dropbox folder because that syncs with their computer automatically. And we were like, it was just so phenomenal.
Wow.
Yeah. It's like, this is what automation should be doing. It should be saving you time in the way that you work. They were filling out this form anyway. So, or I told them the next step is actually to have the clients fill out the form themselves, but they don't want that, but that's okay. But in theory, you give a form to a client to fill out. They can upload documents to it. They can, there's so much that you can do. And then with the push of a button, you push it to wherever you need it to go. You could email it. I have clients who they're two different people working in Airtable, and it's really, really working well for them, but they need notifications. Now, as opposed to ClickUp or Asana or Trello or a project management tool, notifications, they've now started to build it in with the assignee field, but otherwise they're not automatic in Airtable. So we set it up for them exactly on the fields that they want. When this field is updated, send me this kind of notification. When this field is updated, and they're loving it. They're like, oh yes, this is what we want. So again, understanding your workflow and how you need it to work, that's the way to set up one of these tools. And so it doesn't really matter where you're coming from, but where you're going to.
Voila. I think it's going to be a long one because it would be a shame to cut this. So I think, apart from a few seconds here and there, I would cut this, but I would totally just upload the whole thing onto YouTube.
Yeah. I'd put that on my YouTube channel. I wouldn't put this but there's more, just so you know. We haven't even touched on Invoices.
Maybe we can do it next week.
Yeah, just so you know that there's more. I want you to know, but I did give you specifically a clip of how this works. You can see there's so much. This is actually already connected to, well, in theory, it's connected. Did I connect this to Zapier? I don't know that I connected it to Zapier, but no. But in theory, this could be connected to Zapier, and then we could actually put this through to you to if you have a Zapier account, and then you click a button and it sends an invoice for you.
If I do the first part, I think that would, how certain things, I think that would be great. If I just do the first part, that would be a great first step. And this is something I will most probably do over the summer. It's one of those things where you need to sit down and do it because that as soon as it's done, it's going to be a really nice feeling. But when you look at your calendar and you're like, well, where am I going to fit, these hours? And I think that's where you come in, right? That's where you come in. And no, I'm sure people are just like, here, just do it for me.
There's only so much I can do for someone. I could import, if you have this as an Excel sheet, give it to me. I will import this here and you can start working on it tomorrow. But there's only so much I can do for a business. And the business owner at some point has to sit down with this table and say, what's working for me? What isn't working for me? And that's critical, because this is how I see it. But when you're working, you might be going, well, that field doesn't really work for me. I actually don't want that field. So fine, let's delete it. What are you missing? Well, I actually need a field for whatever, right? Name of spouse or name of parents or whatever. So personalizing this and making this your own, that's something that only once a business owner starts to work with it, they'll know to tell me what they're missing, or if they didn't tell me in advance. And there's something very important that you should know. And I'm sure you do know this, but a lot of people skip over that. Of 100% of your time, no matter what that 100% is, about 40% should be spent either on marketing or working on the business. So marketing for me is sort of working on the business, unless in your case it is a marketing business. But like in theory, 40% of the work should be working on the business. I know that sounds like a lot, but unless you're planning on staying really, really small, and even then, like I'm planning on staying small for now, but if you want a full pipeline, if you don't want that feast or famine, working on the business all the time means you're developing the business, you're streamlining, you're automating, you're building other evergreen products, and that will keep you at a steady stream of income constantly. And it's interesting with my new YouTube fetish. Like I was just listening about like the billionaire mindset. Now I'm not looking to become a billionaire. It's not what I want to do with my life, but it's a growth mindset. And it's one of, yes, sure, Mark Zuckerberg was writing code when he started Facebook, but today he's the CEO and he has people writing code for him. And he's working on strategy. Same with many people in the Silicon Valley, but it doesn't have to be just with Silicon Valley. If you work on streamlining, delegating, and automating your processes, you can take yourself out of that equation. You start working on strategizing and building the company, and the company will run itself based on how you've built these automations. Obviously, you have to train them. That's a whole different module on how to train people. But yeah, you have to commit to this, though, Zineb. It's like, even if over the summer, I'll start putting things in. Well, the summer's here, so I don't really care. But, in theory, don't say tomorrow I'll start doing this. Like put in one or two already today before you start putting in the big numbers and the big data, so that you see what you're missing, what you want to tweak, how you want to tweak it.